Hi folks, today I'm going to start a new tutorial series on Linux customization. In this tutorial, I'll be covering how you can mimic my desktop setup in Linux. I'm currently using two distributions as my daily driver. My desktop has Ubuntu 16.4 in it and my laptop has Arch Linux in it. In this video, I'm using my desktop as I can connect my microphone to the my laptop because its 3.5 port is not working unfortunately. So the setup I'm using in both the desktop and laptop are the same, but at this point I would like to remind you something. If you are new to Linux and are not comfortable with command line, then this tutorial is not intended for you because I'll be using a lot of command line and you have to compile some packages yourself. So I have been using Linux for about a decade and have used a plethora of distributions and have remastered and customized a hell lot of distributions. And I have been a distro hopper for quite some time until I met Arch Linux and have never looked back. But as you can see, I'm using Ubuntu in my desktop because of some hardware problems. My D-Link N300 wireless router is not working with Arch Linux because it can the driver for it can only be compiled in older versions of Linux kernel, and unfortunately Arch Linux uses the very latest version of Linux kernel, so I have to switch back to Ubuntu there. So let's jump straight into the particulars of this tutorial. My current setup uses no desktop environment and is using bspwm as the window manager and sxhkd for the keyboard shortcuts and polybar for the panel and rofi for launching and searching apps. So if you're using Ubuntu, then there is a wonderful gist about installing these packages in GitHub, and I'm looking right into it. And I have the links in the description, so open the link in your browser and you can see this. And as far as browser is concerned, I'm using Luakit as the browser because it's a simple lightweight WebKit based browser, so you can have all the features of WebKit and in a lighter package, and it uses Vim shortcuts for navigation. So if you are a Vim fan, you're gonna love it. And so this is the page that I was talking about, the gist. And for our setup, we don't have to install all the packages that are described here like sutils or xtitle or xdo, but we just have to install these two packages, bspwm and sxhkd. So before that, we have to install all the dependencies. So fire up a terminal and install all these dependencies. So like I'll fire up a terminal and copy paste this all these. And I have already installed this, so it's saying all that. So after you have installed all these packages, then create a folder for this repositories to reside. So I usually do like this. I make a directory named apps inside my home folder. So let's switch to that. Cd apps, yeah. And I have already cloned these repositories, this bspwm and sxhkd. Sorry, it's a little difficult to pronounce. sxhkd. And it's for keyboard shortcuts. And so we have cloned these repositories, then we have to install these repositories. So to do that, just cd into that directory and issue these commands make. So first you have to make. Actually I have done it, so I don't have to redo it. Then sudo make install. If you have got the packages right, the above dependencies right, then it will install it without any problem. So we can install bspwm and also sxhkd like this. So after installing these two, uh, I hope everything is fine and you have installed it. Then let's get to the next uh, task. That is, we have to make sure that a file named bspwm.desktop is inside the user share x sessions folder. Let's check that. Look, I have to check that. You can issue this command user share accessions, and if you find bspwm.desktop there, then it's fine, and if not, it's not a big problem, because depending on your display manager, it will find the bspwm.desktop, because actually there are two copies of that in your desktop. You can find that by locate bspwm.desktop, and you can find that it's in the cloned repository that we have cloned from the GitHub. So either you can copy it from here, or it would be in here, like user local share accessions bspwm.desktop. You can copy this from either of these location to user share accessions. Usually it won't be there in user share accessions, and lightdm has some difficulty finding it. So if you are using lightdm, you have to do this to get it working. Okay, then so we can copy it and paste it into that. And after you have done that, um, you can select this from the lightdm session itself. So after that, um, now that we have installed these, we have to install polybar for the top panel. So polybar can be also installed from git like this, but the recent versions has updated requirements, so it would be very hard to do it in ubuntu, because some of the packages in the official repositories are not updated yet. So the best thing to do is that we can get a binary from getdeb. So just go to getdeb.net, and here you can click this link, and it will provide the download link for the getdeb debian deb file, and you can download this file, install this file, and then you can install it with by this command. I'll show you. So this is the file that we download from the getdeb repository, and then to install it, sudo dpkg -i getdeb repository .deb, and it will install the getdeb repository for you, and I have already done that. So after installing this, or you can use the alternative install methods that are described in the getdeb repository, but this is the faster or and more easy one. So after that, we can issue sudo apt update and sudo apt install polybar, and you're done. So after this command completes, you'd get the polybar will be installed there. And now now that we have installed the packages, we have to configure the individual packages. I have added a link in the description for the config files for these three applications, and you can copy these folders into the config directory inside your home folder. Like, this is the directory .config. You can find .config directory inside your home folder, and you can copy these folders into the .config directory. So this is, so we have these folders here: bspwm and polybar and sxhkd here. So after you have copied these folders, let's have a peek on these config files. So let's open bspwm. Sorry, bspwm. Okay, this is the config file for the bspwm, and I have some applications used inside these config files, so we can install that packages to make sure everything work as expected. So first of all, we have to install feh fair. It's a image displaying a software used to draw the background of your desktop. So if you want a background to show some pictures like this, sorry, yeah, I have picture here, and yeah, like this. So to display a picture, you have to install this app, else you what we would be seeing is a blank screen. So I have some pictures inside the pictures walls folder that would probably be inside your home folder, home pictures wall. And you can copy some of the pictures inside that directory, and it will randomly pick some pictures and display it as your background. So to install that, I could say sudo apt install ph, and you'll be good to go. I have already installed these. There's already the newest version. So after that, we have to install xcommgr. So this is a composite manager, and it is responsible for things like opacity, shadows, etc. And you can use Compton also for that, but it doesn't always work as expected. Anyway, the config files for Compton is also provided in my GitHub repository. So you have to copy the file into the .config folder and uncomment this line. As you can see, okay, I'll show you the line. Just before the line 42, there is a commented line, Compton, and if you uncomment that line, you have to comment the subsequent line, and the config for the this file is also present in my repository. You can copy it to appropriate directories and use it. So okay, so to install xcom manager, you have to type sudo apt install xcom mgr, and you are good to go. Okay, I have already installed it. And optionally, you can install the redshift package that you can see in line number 44. And the redshift is a program which controls the brightness and hue of your desktop according to the time, and will turn your display to reddish color at night to reduce strain in your eyes, and it will help you get a good sleep. So to do that, sudo apt install redshift gtk, and the config file for the redshift is also provided. And also you can install the nm applet for displaying and configuring your network, and also xfce4 notify d for configuring notifications. And that also you can install by sudo apt install xfce4 notify d. And the rest of the config will not be present in your download file, because it's some uh, custom scripts that I wrote for myself. And this I'll be talking about this in the coming tutorials, so don't worry about that. Then now, as we have done with the bspwmrc, we can look into the sxhkd. Sorry, how difficult in pronouncing that. So let's look into that. The so beam. So this is the sxhkdrc file, and This is the file where you define the keyboard shortcuts. I'm using GNOME Terminal as my terminal emulator here, as you can see, and I'm using Fish as my shell. So I'll be talking about that in later. So let me quickly show how the keyboard shortcuts work. So to launch a terminal, you just have to press super and enter. So super is the key with that Windows logo on that. So if you press super and enter, okay, a terminal is launched here. So super and another terminal is launched. Okay, this works in a a tree fashion. So it will be like a, spiral going inward. So whenever you launch a terminal or a program, it will fill the largest space there. So to prevent that, you can use other shortcuts, like I'll be talking about that in detail. So here, if you want to launch a program, let's say I want to launch Firefox, what can I do? You are gonna type in the super and space, and it will launch the rofi. This is the rofi, and simply type Firefox there, and yeah, and press enter. It will launch Firefox. Wait, yeah, Firefox has filled a side of my desktop. So this is what tiling window managers do. It will fill the space with all the applications that you have. So if you want to close a window, just press super and w, and it will close the window. So what if I want to launch a terminal under this Firefox window? So what I can do is that I can put a placeholder there by pressing super control and the arrow key and the HJKL keys. So if I press J, it will place a placeholder under the Firefox window, and subsequently I can launch any program I wish, and it will be filled in this placeholder only. To do that, I'll launch a terminal there. So super and enter, and I'll get a terminal under my Firefox window. And if I want to launch some other program, say what I want to launch a text editor, or say I want to launch a image viewer. To the right side of this terminal, what I do is control super and L, and it will place a placeholder in the right side of my terminal, and after that I can launch rofi and type in file name junior. Junior is my image viewer, and it's open that image viewer in the right side of that terminal. So like this, we can place anything we want inside this inside your desktop. And okay, so, and if you want to move the windows around, you can use super shift and h key keys. So I want to move this image viewer to the top. What I do is that place my focus here. To change the focus, you can use super and HJKL keys, and it will shift the focus to up, down, side, or left or right. And it's the same keys that we use in Vim for navigation. So if you're familiar with Vim, you could get along with this very easily. So I want to switch this image viewer of mine to the top. So what I do is that super shift and K, it will be switched to the upper side, and the browser will be switched to down. So likewise, you can go through it. I'm closing all the windows, and you can go through this sxhkdrc, and it's pretty much documented. So you can go through it and find out the keyboard shortcuts, and I insist you to go through this file thoroughly because your workflow is highly dependent on this keyboard shortcuts, because we have no other way to interact with the desktop environment other than this keyboard shortcuts. So if you have any doubts, then feel free to comment it. I'll be replying as soon as I see it. And okay, so we are done with the keyboard shortcuts. Now we can look into the polybar config. So the polybar is the top panel that you see. It's heavily customized version, and we can customize it to our likes in very often. So I'm using desktop, so there is no battery or backlight or temperature. So if you are using a desktop, you could get all that. Now let's move on to the polybar config. So this is the polybar config. So for polybar to work properly, we have installed the font awesome fonts. So to install it, just type in sudo apt install font awesome, sudo apt install fonts hyphen fonts roboto no fonts font awesome, and it will install the font awesome font for you. Also you have to install a roboto that I have earlier typed fonts roboto also. And you have to install powerline fonts also. So the powerline fonts can be found, just google it. You can powerline and okay, here the patched font for powerline users. This is what we want to install. So I'll be giving the link in the description. So the installation instructions is available in that git repository, so you can follow along that and install the fonts. It's pretty much simple. You have to just clone the repository and cd into that, and just type in dot slash install dot such, and it will install all the powerline fonts. And after that you have to log out and log in back. So and you have got the desktop that you wanted, and you can pick in and customize it the way you want to. So to shut down this, or you to log out from the desktop, you can type you can press the keys uh, super alt and escape, and it will get you out of the desktop environment. And to shut down the system, you can use your command line and type in power off a line or stuff like that. So this is the first tutorial. So I'll be having subsequent tutorials for customizations. And so that's all for now. If you enjoy watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel for future videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching.